as a prequel and a triquel to the Lionsgate copyrighted material titled See No Evil and See No Evil 2, available on DVD and in fine movie theaters. Fiction. Writing projects based on short story writer E. Perry's Doppelganger Twin Cities, or on screenplay script Speak No Evil, Hear No Evil, tentatively pitched to both Lionsgate, WWE Films, and Kane by Elizabeth Perry, BA, author, and writer. Time was elapsing for the barren couple, and the hotel was finished finally after 2 decades, and ceaseless, painstaking craftsmanship had come to its zenith. The marriage day would come soon, and the Blackwell Hotel's owner was obsessed with opening day of the finished building. With no baby on the way, the mother of the groom's religious fervor that they not touch each other before the wedding day is fanaticism to days of old higher standards of courtship, and Mr. Jacob Goodnight's empire of wealth is the dignified chapter this distinguished Gentile mogul did not witness by himself. In the first two epic tales of catharsistic agony, featured in the miscarriage of his bride's secret meeting that would rip the family apart forever. And then it is revealed that indeed there are two identical cities, both featuring the famous hotel, the Blackwell. Donning a tuxedo of white vest and white tails, the virgin Victorian hybrid and pedigreed couple are aghast to find no economically equipped guests can afford the opulent luxury hotel they have designed and executed perfect. Yet wandering in one day is his guest, a very dark figure who appears identical to Jacob Goodnight. Several parts are played by Kane, the wrestler, who then is seen in various eras. Simply garbed in different attire, yet clearly a doppelganger is at play. A lot of it could be done with split screens and different types of costuming and editing and things like that. But okay, so then there's the Victorian era, plum-colored iris for boutonniere, and it shows Honor Blackwell from 1888, and he's got hair, and Wisteria Iris is their bride, and Jacob Goodnight is there. And he was born in 1908 and married in 1920. So this is like a prequel to the See No Evil two movies. Cameo and pearl buttons, puff sleeves, bridal gown. Okay, so Blackwell Goodnight family tree, marriage 1888, Mrs. Wisteria Iris Knight mother and Honor Blackwell father, and Mr. and Mrs. Honor Blackwell, Jacob Goodnight, and then Iris Blackwell, wife matriarch, paternal son of Blackwell, and Mr. and Mrs. Jacob Goodnight, twins born paternal Honor Goodnight and Blackwell Knight. Okay, then they have a guest registry, and the cast is Iris Blackwell, a mute with a vocal incapability, silence, sent to attract a suitor, unhappily returns with no offers nor proposals, opts to marry brother Jacob. Okay, so Jacob has a sister named Iris Blackwell. Okay, so then Kane plays role, Jacob Goodnight, a mysterious guest revealed to be the Blackwell heir. Inference that she's the mother in See No Evil. Oh, seen in a young form here. Okay, so she's present. The mother she's like in a younger form or whatever, just hair dye and, lipstick and the whole, youthful. Just, it's possible. Yes, yes. And so Mrs. Wisteria Knight, or you can cast somebody to be that person that's the younger version of her. Anyways, okay, so also played by Kane, or the look-alike to Jacob Goodnight, is Honor Goodnight, which is a twin, and he incises vocal cords. And then also played by Kane, Blackwell Knight, which is a twin, and then he cuts out or impairs eardrums. Okay, so this is a horror movie. It's a horror story. In honor of Blackwell, deceased, the father patriarch of the Blackwell family, in 1888 weds the mother of Jacob Goodnight, young version with cameo. Okay, so, and also played by Kane in period Victorian 1888 clothing, Black Buggy, Surrey. Okay. Guests to Blackwell House wedding day, Alexander Graham Bell installs first telephone in house. Helen Keller taught Iris Blackwell sign language, and Thomas Edison installs first electric lights in hotel in entire Pennsylvania Dutch country. Okay, so the narrator comes in. The play begins. On October 17th, 1920, the Blackwell Hotel held a dual event, both an opening of its grand apartments and suites, with its penthouse being the grandest honeymoon suite of it all. The entire floor was drenched in plum wine iris. Chlorinate, clean marble white floors reflected candle-lit torches of silver that reached from floor to shoulder length, head-high proportions. Each candle was dark purple claret, and the dripless tapered luminous wicks flickered slightly in the chill of the autumn air. A toast was to be willed by the inventor attendees, and the famous teacher from Alabama, Helen Keller, was signing language furiously to her student. The happy look of pride was evident on her bright face. Staging. The opulent apartments of the Blackwell can be limited to interiors of the penthouse. The honeymoon suite, Iris marries her brother. Iris marries her brother. Toasting with champagne glasses. By filling them up with fine bubbly, the guests yield to a bell-like ringing of a phone line. Ring, 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 ring. Loudly a telephone interrupts the bride and groom's toast. Why, it's for my husband, Mr. Blackwell, stated Iris Blackwell's mother-in-law, Wisteria Knight Blackwell. No, sir, my husband cannot come to the telephone. I realize you'd like to speak to him. He's not here. No, no, he's quite unable to. You see, Mr. Blackwell is deceased. No, we can't talk right now. Goodbye. So then she hangs up the phone. Wisteria Knight. Then the inventor of the telephone system of that era, the hotel, comes forth. Mr. Blackwell is dead? Then who is getting married? I received this invitation in the mail. Whom is marrying the bride? Alexander Graham Bell says. Kane plays Jacob Goodnight, who then emerges from the crowd with the ring box in hand. To one knee he proclaims his intention, states narrator. May I have your hand in marriage? Says Jacob Goodnight. Narrator. Yes, Jacob Goodnight, you may have my hand in marriage. Signs in sign language. I do give you my hand in marriage, states Iris Blackwell to the bearer of the ring. She puts the ring on her own finger. Helen Keller says the lines, interprets the sign language. The strange flicker of the candle then reveals the light to be pure, and the night's music then ensues from the Victrola. The cries of babies, two in fact, are heard in the background as a black pram is wheeled back and forth, boys, both enormous infants. When Edison installed the lights at the Blackwell, the whole county was insanely jealous and felt like boycotting the extravagance. What are we to do? We need guests. Oh, Jacob, now that we're Goodnight Blackwell, what are the baby boys' memories of their mother going to be, of her paintings and piano playing, or of the telephone she can't seem to answer, or a system of lights we will be paying for, yet no guest has checked in since the opening? And then 20 years passed to 1940. And there stood the twins, both more robust and strong than the other. And the Victrola skipped slightly as it played the record. Narrator continues. Song is sung at the Blackwell Hotel in the style of the 20s radio. Emerald eyes and diamond stars and sapphire skies and black cars Ruby lips and songs all sung at the Blackwell Hotel, at the Blackwell Hotel, at the Blackwell Hotel, at the Blackwell Hotel, at the Blackwell Hotel. The Victrola's scratchy surviving recording makes clicks and hisses as the sound pops of age. The love we felt was like velvet soft, the softest touch, an angel's breath, at the Blackwell Hotel, and so the twins arrived home from there. The world outside an iris night goodnight was charmed by few who had taken to cleaning all of the dishes herself, was still glowing with pale powder in the face, so young after all of these years. She gave a powerful performance at the grand piano of Jacob's in his apartment as they took to living in at the top floor of their honeymoon chamber. And this is the shocking part. She loved all three just the same, Jacob, Honor, and Blackwell Goodnight. All three could not help but love their bride. But you see, there was a phantasm, a night of horror, so fantastically horrific, so ghastly, all of the chambers of the hotel were full. It was a strange advent, but because of the war, the state had allowed for vagrants and world-wandering abject poor tenants to occupy the fine compartments of the Blackwell. And so Jacob, Honor, and Blackwell Goodnight decided to devilishly box the tenants' squatting ears so they couldn't hear the events of any of humanity ever again. You see, they had heard something. They had heard all three of them making love to the bride. I would like another baby. I want to procreate more, but we just haven't been able to do it. I think that the twins might be able to do it with me. Would you mind that? No, I would not mind that as long as we have more children. To stab the occupants' eardrums and ruin their hearing forever. The second plan was even more. They devised a knitting needle plan to stab the occupants' eardrums and ruin their hearing forever. The second plan was even more. Oh, it was evil. The vocal cords of their victims were severed, forever imposing silence on their throats. They divided up. The occupants that were there at the hotel had been sabotaging the elevator and had been killing the plants and ruining the finery and graffitiing the paintings and the wall hangings and they were messing up light fixtures. It was awful. It was terrible. And it wasn't even their properties, but they were vagrants, and they were forcing them to like do the dishes for everybody at the facility. And so they divided up. Jacob was see no evil. Honor's task was silencing the takers, the soulless bringers of nothing. He cut out their vocal cords by hand, scalpel. He was a master of the blade. The knife was his friend, an extension of his arm. And last, but knowing not least, Blackwell Goodnight's most gruesome night, Iris's second of the twins, Blackwell Knight, cut their eyes out with his bare fingernails. Wait. Oh, okay. Yes. Oh, yes, and they boxed their ears. They were hear no evil is boxing their ears with knitting needles, and then they scalpel their throats. So, ghastly formaldehyde containers in jars, all still with clear liquid. Take their sight, their voice, their hearing. Jacob and their sons screamed and bellowed. And the real crime, the electrical monstrosity and constant ringing of the telephone in the mute mother's ear. When the mutilations were done, we made it clear what Iris and her dear sweet bodies were made for. And the taking of her body by all three fathering men. And so, let's see, Blackwell's bodies, she was deeply given. So bending in the penthouse and the honeymoon suite was she to their will, so yielding to her master's wants. And they were her own sons, Honor and Blackwell, in addition to Jacob. That night, they enjoyed her body in pieces of delectable devouring that gave such orgasms to their bodies that they did not want to share the penthouse or the secret with the other people in the hotel that overheard through ventilation shafts and plumbing tubes and all sorts of hearing devices. They knew that occupants of them had known that they were doing this. And so the Blackwell Hotel, nor the experience of pleasure, did they want to leak out with these strange occupants who made her do all the work for them, the tenants that forced the high Victorian society underground, and especially her fine reputed pale marble mounds of flesh so tightly corseted in cleavage so deep before glancing down and thought apologizing best. The ventilation shafts and telephone systems had made it possible for every tenant to realize their act of passion, and the high Victorian Blackwell men made them hear no evil, speak no evil. The end.